William Byers is the kid who started it all. The boy who vanished. The spy. The antenna. And maybe the most important piece on the board when it comes to the fate of Hawkins. And maybe the world. But here's the question. Nobody asked for 4 seasons. Why did the Upside Down choose Will first? And why does Vecna still care about him now? Hold that thought. Because everything you think you know about Will is incomplete. Will was born on March 22nd, 1971, to Joyce and Lonnie Byers. Right away, Will was different, quiet, sensitive, too kind for the kind of world his father believed in. Lonnie hated that. He mocked him, called him names, used slurs, all because Will liked art and didn't act like the other boys. That matters later. A lot. Jonathan noticed it. So Jonathan stepped up. Not as a brother, but as a shield. He introduced Will to music, made him a mixtape. One song mattered more than all the others. Should I stay or should I go? Remember that. When Lonnie finally leaves, Joyce, Jonathan, and Will, that's the family. That same day, they build Castle Byers. It's raining. Will can't hammer nails to save his life. They get soaked. They get sick. But they don't stop, because Castle Byers isn't just a fort. It's safety. It's control. It's a place where nothing can get to him. That matters later, too. Fast forward, 1976. Kindergarten. Will is on the swings, alone, invisible. Then Mike Wheeler walks up. He's lonely, too. He asks one question. Do you want to be my friend? Will says yes. And just like that, the party is born. Lucas joins, then Dustin, basements, dice, Dungeons and Dragons. Will becomes the creative core, always drawing, always imagining. For his 8th birthday, Joyce buys him 120 crayons. He draws a rainbow ship. Joyce shows everyone at work. Will's embarrassed, but smiling. That's Will. Now, November 1983. This is where everything breaks. The boys are deep into a D&D campaign. Mike is the dungeon master. He summons the Demogorgon. Will casts Fireball. He rolls. He loses. The game ends. It's late. Will bikes home alone. His bike light flickers. He sees something. A shape. He crashes. Runs. The house is empty. The dog is barking. Will grabs a rifle. That's courage people forget. The light explodes. And then, Will Byers is gone. Everyone assumes he's dead. He isn't. Will is trapped in the Upside Down, a toxic mirror of Hawkins. Cold, dark, poison in the air. And something is hunting him. Here's the part people miss. Will survives for 7 days. 7 days. He hides, moves, thinks. He survives inside the upside-down version of Castle Byers, the same place he built to feel safe. So ask yourself, why didn't the Demogorgon kill him? Back in Hawkins, Joyce refuses to believe he's gone. She sees lights flicker. She listens. She paints the alphabet on the wall. And from the other side, Will touches the energy. He spells one word, run. That saves her life. A body is found in the quarry. There's a funeral. Joyce knows it's fake. She's right. 11 finds him in the void. Will is freezing, weak, singing, should I stay or should I go? To stay alive. Then the monster finds him. He's dragged, webbed, a tendril shoved down his throat. He's not killed. He's used.
Joyce and Hopper
pull him
break
out.
into the Upside Down to save him. They find him, pull that snake thing out of his throat, and Hopper has to do CPR. There's this heart-stopping moment where you think he's gone, but he gasps. He's back. They get him to the hospital, and he wakes up surrounded by his friends. It's a happy ending, right? Well, sort of. He coughs up a slug in the sink a month later and sees the world flicker into the upside down. He's back, but he's not entirely free. A year passes. It's in '84. Will is dealing with some serious trauma. The kids at school call him Zombie Boy, which is just cruel. He's having these episodes where he freezes and sees the upside down. It's Halloween, and despite Joyce being super protective, she lets him go trick-or-treating with the guys. They're dressed as Ghostbusters. It's going okay until some bullies jump out and Will falls. He has another episode, but this time, it's not just a flash. He sees a shadow in the sky, a massive spider-like shadow monster. He tries to keep it a secret, but eventually he tells Mike. He says he feels like he's stuck between two worlds. Mike promises to help him. Then, taking some bad advice from Bob Newby, who is dating Joyce and is a total superhero in his own right, Will decides to stand his ground the next time he sees the monster. He thinks he can tell it to go away, so he's on the school field, the monster swirls down from the sky, and Will screams at it to leave. But the monster doesn't leave. It swarms into him. It possesses him. This kicks off the Spy Will era. The Mind Flayer, that shadow monster, is now using Will as a host. Will likes the cold. He knows things he shouldn't know. He draws these scribbles that act as a map of the tunnels the monsters are digging under Hawkins. But slowly, the monster takes over. When the soldiers from the lab try to burn the tunnels, Will collapses in agony because he feels what the Hive Mind feels. It's physically painful for him. He ends up in the hospital with memory loss. He barely recognizes anyone. It's heartbreaking. They realize the only way to save him is to get the monster out, but they can't hurt the monster without hurting Will. They take him to a disguised shed to interrogate him, trying to find the monster's weakness. The Mind Flayer takes full control, breaking his restraints and shouting that he's going to kill everyone. But the real Will is still in there. He taps out a message in Morse code on the chair, close gate. He's fighting from the inside. To save him, Joyce, Jonathan, and Nancy take him to Hopper's remote cabin. They crank the heat up because the virus, the Mind Flayer, hates heat. It's an exorcism, basically. Will is screaming, choking Joyce, his veins are turning black. It's intense. Nancy pokes him with a hot poker, and finally the shadow monster flies out of his mouth and escapes into the night. Will collapses, but when he wakes up, he's himself again. He's finally free of the possession. He goes to the snowball dance, and a nice girl asks him to dance. For a minute, he gets to just be a kid. By the summer of 1985, though, things are changing. Will just wants to play D&D. He wants things to go back to how they were. But Mike and Lucas are obsessed with their girlfriends, 11 and Max. Will feels left out. He feels like he's losing his friends to growing up. During a rainy day, he tries to get a campaign going, but Mike and Lucas are just not into it. Will snaps. He storms out and Mike yells, "It's not my fault you don't like girls." It's a harsh line and it hits Will hard. He goes home and destroys Castle Byers. He tears it down in the rain, sobbing. It's the symbolic end of his childhood. But he can't dwell on it because he feels the neck tingle. That feeling he gets when the Mind Flayer is near. He realizes the monster is back, even though the gate was closed. He becomes the group's early warning system. Every time the Mind Flayer is active, Will touches the back of his neck. They realize the Mind Flayer has built a physical body out of melted rats and people, the Meat Flayer. Will helps them track it, fight it, and eventually they win at the Starcourt Mall, but at a huge cost. Hopper supposedly dies. We know he doesn't, but they don't. And Billy dies. After all this trauma, Joyce decides enough is enough. The Byers family, plus 11, are moving to California. Will and Mike promise to stay in touch, but there's this distance growing between them. So now we are in 19X Season 4. Will is in Lenora Hills, California. He's painted this painting for Mike, but he won't show anyone. He's clearly struggling with his identity and his feelings for Mike. Mike comes to visit for spring break, and it's awkward. Will is third-wheeling hard while Mike and Elle are doing their thing. They go to the roller rink and Elle gets bullied. It's a disaster. But then the military shows up, looking for Elle. The California crew, Will, Mike, Jonathan, and his stoner friend Argyle, go on the run in a pizza van. This road trip is pivotal for Will. There's this moment in the van where he shows Mike the painting. It's the party fighting a dragon, and Mike is the leader, the heart. Will gives this speech, ostensibly about 11 needing Mike, but if you listen to the subtext, he's talking about himself. He's crying, looking out the window, and Mike doesn't even see it. It is devastatingly sad. Jonathan sees it, though. Later, Jonathan gives Will a pep talk, basically saying, "I love you no matter what," without explicitly saying, "I know you're gay," but he knows. It's a sweet brother moment. They eventually track down Eleven, who has been getting her powers back. They pick her up and head back toward Hawkins because Vecna, this new humanoid villain who is actually Henry Creel/1, is destroying the town. They don't make it back in time to fight physically, so they help El mind fight Vecna from a pizza dough freezer. They return to Hawkins to find it in ruins. The Upside Down is bleeding into the real world. Will stands there looking at the spores falling like snow, and he touches his neck. He tells Mike, "He's not dead, I can feel him." "Okay, hey, pause for a sec. Imagine I'm Dustin trying to contact Susie. I need you to pick up. So hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment telling me which hairstyle of Will's was the worst." It's the bowl cut. We all know it's the bowl cut. All right, back to the end of the world. So here we are, Season 5. It's November 1987. We are picking up right where the chaos left off. Hawkins is under quarantine. The military has locked it down. They've put these giant metal band-aids over the cracks in the earth. The group is split up but working together. There's a radio station called WSQK, the Squawk, that Robin is running. They're using it to coordinate. Will is living at the Wheeler's house because the Byers' old house is probably destroyed or inaccessible. He's sleeping on a pull-out couch. He's still having these feelings, these connections to Vecna. It starts with him just freezing up, seeing the sky spin. He brushes it off, tells Mike he's just nervous, but we know better. Here is where it gets wild. The military is doing these crawls into the Upside Down to try and hunt Vecna. Hopper is leading them, but they aren't finding anything. Meanwhile, Will's connection is getting stronger. He's not just sensing Vecna, he's seeing through his eyes. Or more accurately, he's seeing through the eyes of the Hive Mind. One night, while the group is trying to track a military convoy that Hopper has infiltrated, things go wrong. A Demogorgon attacks the convoy. At the exact same moment, Will collapses at the radio station. He's seizing, screaming that he sees him! He is psychically witnessing Hopper's fight and sees the Demogorgon ripping the driver out of the van. This confirms that Will is basically a human antenna. Will tells Joyce after he wakes up that it knows he's there, referring to the Hive Mind sensing Hopper. But at the Wheeler house, little Holly Wheeler, Mike and Nancy's younger sister, has been seeing this friend she calls Mr. Whatsit. Turns out, Mr. Whatsit is Henry Creel in human form, appearing to her like a friendly ghost. He lures her in. That night, a Demogorgon bursts through the ceiling of Holly's bedroom. It is chaos. Karen Wheeler tries to fight it off with a broken wine bottle, total badass move, but she gets badly hurt. Ted tries to help and gets thrown through a wall. The Demogorgon grabs Holly and drags her into the Upside Down through a rift in the floor. Nancy, Mike, and the others arrive just too late. They find Karen bleeding out. She manages to write a name on a clipboard later at the hospital. Henry. This changes everything. They realize Vecna is targeting kids, specifically enticing them using a gentle human persona, rather than just being a monster. In episode 2, the group is reeling. Will realizes that he can use his connection to find her. He tells Joyce and Robin that he's like a radio receiver. Robin actually helps him conceptualize this, suggesting that if he has an antenna, he just needs to get close enough to the radio waves, the Mind Flayer particles, to get a clear signal instead of static. He takes Robin into the woods to a spot where he had a vision earlier. On the way, Robin awkwardly asks Will if he was at the hospital because she almost got caught visiting Vicky, hinting she knows Will might have secrets too, and they share a moment of understanding about keeping things quiet. He sees a mandala made of stones, which Robin points out is actually a spiral, not a mandala. He goes into a trance and sees what Holly sees. She's with Henry Creel in this pristine, beautiful version of the Creel house. It's a trap, obviously. Henry's keeping her there, manipulating her, telling her he's protecting her from the monsters. Will realizes he wasn't seeing through the Demogorgon's eyes, but through Holly's, meaning Vecna is watching her and is with her. The group realizes Vecna is escalating. He plans to take more. In episode 3, Will is riding in the car with Joyce, Jonathan, and Nancy. Joyce is furious that Will went into the woods without her, but Will stands his ground, telling her he isn't a kid anymore, and that they don't have time to play it safe. He reveals that because he tapped into the Hive Mind, he knows Vecna's plan. Will taps into the Hive Mind again and sees the next target, a kid named Derek Turnbow. Derek is a bully, kind of a jerk, but he doesn't deserve to be Monster Chow. The group hatches a wild plan. They are going to kidnap Derek. Yeah, you heard that right. They figure if they can drug him and get him to a secure location, they can set a trap for the Demogorgon that comes to collect him. Steve questions the ethics of kidnapping a child, but Joyce defends it as saving a child via kidnapping. They recruit Erica Sinclair to help because she knows Derek's sister. They actually have to negotiate with Erica in a school hallway. She only agrees when Mike admits it's about saving Holly. Erica goes to the Turnbow house for dinner, brings a pie laced with sedatives, benzos that Robin and Will stole from the hospital earlier, and knocks the whole family out. Though Tina, the sister, refuses the pie, so Erica just straight up jabs her with a syringe. They grab Derek and take him to an abandoned barn at the McCorkle farm. They set up traps, Home Alone style, but deadlier. They've got tracking devices hidden inside shotgun shells they plan to shoot into the Demogorgon so they can follow it back to Vecna's lair. Outside the barn, Joyce and Will have a massive heart-to-heart. Joyce confesses she feels guilty about the night Will was taken in Season 1 because she was home watching Cheers and didn't check on him for 8 hours. She promises not to look away again, and Will assures her he trusts her. At the barn, they wake Derek up. He's freaking out, understandably. He tries to escape, climbs into the hayloft, and starts yelling insults at the group. This noise attracts the Demogorgon way faster than they anticipated. The monster bursts in. It's a massive brawl. Joyce hits it with an axe. Steve slams into it with his BMW. The monster retreats through a gate, and Steve, being Steve, decides to drive his car through the gate into the Upside Down to chase it. He has a theory that the gate is like a peanut butter bopper, crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside, and that if he hits it fast enough, he can punch through. Nancy, Jonathan, and Dustin are with him. They crash land in the Upside Down, alive but stranded. Meanwhile, back in the Upside Down, Hopper and Eleven are on their own mission. They've infiltrated a military base inside the Upside Down. Yeah, the military has a base in the Shadow Dimension. They find out that the military isn't just fighting monsters, they are rounding up kids too. They think Eleven is the one taking them, so they are putting kids in protective custody, which is actually just making them sitting ducks. Hopper and Elle break into the lab to find out what's going on. They find Dr. K, this intense new antagonist who is running the show. There's a massive fight. Hopper almost gets strangled by a vine creature, but Elle saves him. They find a vault that supposedly holds Vecna, but when they open it, it's Kaylee. 8, Eleven's sister from the Chicago episode back in Season 2. She's wired up to a machine. That is a massive twist nobody saw coming. Back at the barn in the real world, Will is having a breakdown. He starts painting on the wall. It's a vision he's seeing. He realizes Vecna is building something. He sees spires. Holly is attached to one. There are 12 spires total. Vecna wants 12 kids. He's building an army or a battery. Derek, who is eating chips on the couch, reveals he saw soldiers loading other kids onto buses, confirming the military is also rounding them up. The military raids the barn. They arrest Joyce, Will, Mike, and Derek. But before they can take them away, the Demogorgons attack the military. It's a slaughter. Rifts start opening up everywhere, and then he walks out. Vecna, but he looks different. He's evolved. The soldiers shoot him, and he just brushes it off. He tosses Joyce aside like a ragdoll. Then Vecna turns his attention to Will. He lifts Will into the air with his mind. He gives this monologue about how Will was the first, how Will showed him what was possible, and that Will's mind belongs in the Upside Down because some minds don't belong in the normal world. It looks like he's going to kill him or take him, but then Vecna drops him. He just lets him go and retreats back into the portal. It's confusing, but here's the absolute mic drop moment of Volume 1. The Demogorgons are still attacking. One is coming for Robin, one is coming for Lucas, one is coming for Mike. It looks like game over. The camera cuts to Will. He's on the ground bleeding. He hears Robin's voice in his head, remembering a conversation they had in the tunnels earlier about accepting who you are and how Robin realized she had to stop being scared of herself to be free. We see flashbacks of Will's life, the swings, the castle, the wizard costume. Will stands up. He looks at the Demogorgons. His eyes roll back in his head, turning completely white. He raises his hand, just like Vecna does. The Demogorgons stop midair, they freeze. Will is controlling them. He twists his hand and the monster's limbs snap. Their bodies contort. He crushes them with his mind exactly the way Vecna crushed his victims. Will collapses, his nose bleeding, just like Eleven. Will Byers has powers. He is a sorcerer. The connection to the Upside Down didn't just traumatize him, it changed him. He is now the equal to Vecna, and that is where Episode 4 ends. Talk about a cliffhanger! So, from the shy kid in the sandbox giving away his truck to the wizard crushing monsters with his mind, that is the story of Will Byers. He's been the victim for 4 seasons, but it looks like in season 5 he is finally going to be the hero. And honestly, it's about time.